Mehul Desai is the driving force of mail order solutions. His vision and focus have led the company to establish standards and business models that have proven exemplary for a small setup to grow exponentially in a short span. Mehul is an avid cricket fan and loves to read Swedish crime fiction. He is a marketing genius and can sell anything, either by his excellent convincing power, and where it rarely doesn't work, his biceps are always ready to pad up. Mehul is on board as an advisor for the DMA India and has been a speaker at various industry events. He is a दोस्तों का दोस्त, रफ्तार को जिंदगी की इस कदर बनाए रख गालिब कि दुश्मन भले आगे निकल जाए पर दोस्त कोई पीछे ना छूटे. Mehul's 30 mad minutes are not indication of anything frivolous. Never go by his initials, if only to avoid yourself going mad. Ladies and gentlemen, the last act of the evening, please welcome Mehul Desai. Set it on fire, man.
Good evening, everybody. I guess you're just waiting for this to end so we can go have some cocktails, etc. So I promise you I will keep it for 30 minutes precise. Are focused on the technology part of the business. What is relevant to grow your business? What is more important for your business is the kind of strategy that you make. That is what is going to allow your organization to grow year on year, irrespective of whether you are being threatened by digital or not. It's all a matter of strategy. Strategy is a very broad word that we are using. For a company which is a print company, there are a few very important strategies. As you can see it on the screen, the most important being the investment strategy. When and what do I invest in? Sales and marketing strategy, because your investment is going to drive what you produce. And your sales and marketing strategy has to be in line with that. The human resource strategy, the pricing strategy, all of these are parameters which will allow you to run your business in a manner which will allow your company to grow, and nothing will seem like a threat. Everything will seem like an opportunity. Easier said than done? Yeah? Come on, I need some responses. Yes. Okay, great. So before we get into how do we go about strategizing as a print company, or for that matter as any business owner, let's first look specifically into what industry we are in and who are the people whom we are servicing. As a print company owner, okay, you're servicing variety of clients. But let us take a look at it as a client. Okay, there's an FMCG company who is a client. Now this FMCG company can utilize different types of printers. They need a commercial printer for their sales collaterals, for their business stationeries, all of those kind of things. They need a packaging printer. Now within packaging also you have different kinds of packaging printers. They will need somebody like Amit Bhai for their POS, because that's what is now driving most FMCGs. So an FMCG company is dealing with variety of printers, okay, and that is itself a big challenge when it comes to our business, because our industry itself is very diverse. The point I am trying to make is there are 3 printers standing in a room, okay. To the outside world, if they are known, people will say all 3 are printers. But all 3 could be very, very diverse. They could be very, very different from each other. Different in terms of every aspect of their business. And for them to compare notes and then implement on those notes could be suicidal. To give you an idea of how diverse our industry is, I have randomly selected 3 companies. Okay? We have a Prodon. I think Jangir is somewhere in the audience. Okay. It's Jangir's birthday today, so that's why we've selected Jangir. That's a company which is based in Mumbai, primarily an offset printer who does commercial work. Started in 1973. Over the years, this company has evolved into a company which is known for the quality of the output that it does. And I know this personally because I have seen many times Jhangi sweat over what comes off his machines. I have seen him cancel a print order because he's not happy. Why? Because his mantra is that when my product reaches my customer, I want my customer to be delighted. That's a part of his strategy. Now, Prodon has won because of this so many awards, both at the domestic level and international level. Take the next one, Desai. Started off as one of the biggest security printers. It would be safe to say that out of 10 banks, 7 banks get their checkbooks printed with Desai. While servicing this particular sector or segment, what we call as the BFSNI, the banking, financial, insurance sector, they saw a huge opportunity with the way digital printing was evolving. And they decided to focus on that as a part of their strategy. To do that, they had to understand first data. We just had Ashok ji here. He was talking about data. Now, data here is not the historical data of the organization, but the data that is going to come from customer and what you need to do with that to give the customer the printed output. They converted this into a huge opportunity. Today, this company operates out of 9 locations in India. We all know how this company has grown. We'll take a look at another company, Vistaprint. I'm sure all of you know that. It should be a very proud moment for us because we have a printing company which is today advertising on television, on radio. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen their advertisements on television. Anyone? Yes. This company, you'd be surprised to know, started with one agenda of business. We are going to produce business cards. From there, they have evolved into their present avatar. This company is today operating in 22 countries, has a turnover of $1.7 billion, which translates to upwards of 11,000 crores. Boggles my mind, okay? But that's the business that they are in. That is the result of the strategy that they have employed. For all of us to understand strategy, I needed to first highlight to you the diversity. Why it is important for us to understand the diversity? Because let's take the size of all these 3 companies. One is a small company based in Mumbai. I don't know the turnover of that company because it's not a publicly traded company. Servicing certain number of clients. While as Desai is a pan-India presence, again, we don't know the turnover of this company because it's not a publicly traded company, but from our intelligence, our sources, we can easily put this company in the vicinity of 250 crores turnover. So this is the size that I'm talking about. And then you have a Vistaprint, which is a company which has a turnover of 11,000 crores, okay? But the average value of an order that Vistaprint receives is just 900 rupees. Can you do the math? How many clients this company must be servicing to reach a turnover of 11,000 crores? That's the sheer business that they are in. So size-wise, they are very different. The equipment that they employ. Today, you want to order a pen with your name on it, you can go to the Vistaprint site, you can log in and place your order. You want a t-shirt with your name or some kind of branding on it, you can do that, okay? If you want something done with your data and you want a digital output, a telephone company wants its bill to be printed, an electricity company wants its bill to be printed, it will go to a Desai. The equipments that this company have are very different from each other. A Vistaprint has something which can print on pen, it can print on ceramic, it can print on garment, and it can print on paper. While as a Desai will have equipment, it will need standard offset printing equipment because most of the digital that they will do will be on base stationaries of, which are printed on offset equipment. But they will have either a cut sheet digital machine, they will have roll-to-roll digital machines, they will have inserting lines, They will have all of those kind of things that they require. So in terms of equipment, these companies are different. The types of clients that they service. Vistaprint is a company which does B2C business. An individual can walk in, or an individual can order through the net a single piece of item. A corporate can similarly go and say, I need 500 t-shirts for a conference that I am having. I'm sure a Puneet can go and say that Canon is having its kickoff, and I need t-shirts to be made for Canon. That's what Vistaprint. So the company is geared to tackle all those kind of business. So in terms of the clients that they all handle, the geographical markets, we have a Prodon which is limited to Mumbai, servicing clients who are based in Mumbai. We have a Vistaprint which is operating in 22 countries, 22 different cultures, 22 different buying habits. All of these things come into play when you are making a strategy. So it's a very, very diverse business, the infrastructure that we have. So the reason why I say this is, and why I highlight this as a very important point, is that what your friend who is also a printer doing should not be the basis of your decision making. Let's look into a very important point. There are two things, amongst all the diversity that I talked about, there are two things that are very common to all these three companies. The first one being, I have already stated, all three are printing companies, right? What's the second thing that is common between all these three companies? From whatever I have shared with you about these companies, if anybody from the audience can hazard a guess, somebody wants to try? Yes? Specialization. Something else? Quality. Okay, part of it? Servicing customer needs. That's the answer that I was looking for. Brilliant. What is common between these three companies, that everything that they are doing is driven by one approach, and that is what we call as the customer-centric approach. Every basis of decision that these companies have taken as they have evolved and gone into the business cycle, every organization goes through a business cycle. There are good years, there are bad years, and there are again good years. During all of these things, most of the decision making that these companies have done is based on a customer-centric approach. During the whole day, we've listened to a lot of speakers, and we've heard a lot of people here who are print company owners. One thing that stands out is those companies which have a customer-centric approach are the ones which stay ahead, which are able to meet all kinds of challenges and convert those into opportunities. Whilst it's easy to say this, there's a little bit of method to this. And that's what the whole point of this chat of 30 minutes is. Let's get into the thick of it. We just had Mr. Ashok talk about data. Okay? We as printers never ever bother to check our historical data. Our data speaks for itself. Please pay attention here, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very critical for you to decide on what directions you need to give to your organization. When I say data, what do you mean? I mean financial data. You take, like Mr. Ashok said, he made things easier for me. Like Mr. Ashok said, you take 3 years of your financial statement. The two critical figures that we will focus on just now is what we call as your top line, which is your turnover, and your bottom line, which is your profitability. These are two very, very important parameters for the health of an organization, right? Everybody agrees on this? Okay, so moving on. Now what we do is we take our turnover, and last 3 years, let's take hypothetical case. The 3 years back, the company's turnover was 20 crores, it's become 25 crores, and now last year's result was 30 crores. The company has had a growth of 5 crores year on year. That's your top line, right? But how did you achieve this top line? That's very simple. You look at the balance sheet, you see your turnover, it's very easy. You need to get into the specifics. You need to break it down by client. Which client has contributed how much to the top line? So you arrive at the historical data. Now a company can have 25 clients, it can have 30 clients, it can have 40 clients, depends. Like I said, a Vistaprint has a turnover of 11,000 crores, but the average order value is 900. So how many clients it must be having? So you break down your top 10, 15 clients by turnover. Client A has contributed 3 crores to the 25 crores, 30 crores that you did last year. Client B has contributed so much, so on and so forth. And then you have a miscellaneous column where all your other smaller clients, one-off clients, etc. are put, and you arrive at your bottom line, your top line, which is 30 crores. Following so far? Okay? Once you've done that, you do it for 3 years. Why you do it for 3 years? Because studying data for 1 year could be a skewed data. In that particular year, a particular client or a couple of clients could have contributed very heavily to your top line. So to avoid any skewing of the data, you take 3 years. You study all 3 years and you map them. Is your number one client been consistently number one for the last 3 years? Or has there been a variation? 3 years back he was number 4, then 2 years back he jumped to number 2, and now he's become number 1 in the last 1 year. So you study all of these things. It gives you an idea about the growth that your organization has been having with a particular client in terms of your top line. Understood? We now move to the other part of it, which is the bottom line. Bottom line is ultimately why we do business. Bottom line is what allows us to grow. Bottom line is what allows us to meet our expansion plans. So very, very important parameter. So we look at the last 3 years' profits similarly. Once we have arrived at those profits, we do the same exercise that we did for the top line, which is to break it down by client. And this is where the interesting things will happen. Once you have broken this down, you now have last 3 years' data in terms of top line. You know who were the clients, who were top 10, top 15, whatever you have decided as your parameter. And then against that you have the guys who contributed maximum to your profitability in that particular order. Now when you look at the data, you suddenly realize that the guy who is giving you your maximum turnover or maximum top line on your bottom line chart is appearing on number 5. What does it say? Maybe he's a big print buyer, because of which he is driving prices, because of which to remain relevant in that particular account, you are compromising on your internal parameters and reducing your prices, and you're giving him some product at a price which is lower than what you'd normally charge. This is plain business. The guys who buy big also negotiate big. So you have all of that. Once you have this data, and you know maybe a guy who is number 7 on your top line in terms of contribution to your turnover is the guy who is giving you maximum profitability. Herein lies the answers for you. You need to decide for yourself what you want to do with this data. What is your agenda? Whether you want to drive top line growth, whether you want to drive a bottom line growth. Both, as I said, are very important and will depend on at which stage the organization is in. A solidly established company can possibly make bottom line as its only parameter. But organizations which are evolving need to focus on both. So you have this data, you've studied all of this, you do one more exercise with that. You try and see and club the clients as per the verticals of business that they belong to. When I say verticals, what I mean is the segment of business that they belong to. So when you are doing your top line study, you see that your topmost customer is a pharma guy. Okay? Now you look how many pharma customers you have in your top line. The reason you try to do is because it's going to drive every strategy that you do. So based on this study, you have verticals which are contributing maximum to your top line. Okay? Then you do a similar study for your bottom line. And you see which are the verticals. Do you see any synergy there? Do you see anything which is common between them? You will find your answers when you do this study. Once you have done this, you will know which are the verticals which are contributing maximum to your business. Which are the client segments which are working for you. Could be a pharma client, could be an FMCG client, could be, a non-durable consumer goods company, could be anything. So you arrive at this on your own by the historical data that you've done. Now once you've done this, okay, you come to the next most important stage, which is R&D. When I say R&D, I don't mean R&D on how to give a better product. I mean R&D on the verticals that you are servicing as a printer for your clients. This is very, very important. I cannot highlight this enough. I have seen a lot of time print company owners getting stuck in their operations, standing near the press, looking at what the sheet coming out and saying iska registration barabar nahi hai, color barabar nahi hai, and all those kind of things. I have seen printers getting together and talk about all of these things. I have rarely seen printers talk about what kind of strategy they want to deploy to handle the market forces. Or how can I make inroads into a particular segment? None of these discussions take place because we at times are clueless because we have not studied the historical data that we have with us. So R&D in this is very important. I'm sure all of you heard Fahim speak some time back, right? Okay, let's take an example from there. I'm sure during his presentation, you saw there was a particular pharma product which he put up and there was an outsert, right? Fahim, that was there, part of the, yeah. So there was an outsert, everybody saw that, right? Now outsert is a product which a lot of printing companies service. To do that, they need to have certain kind of offset machines. They need to have certain kind of folding machines. So it's a particular line that is set up and there are a lot of companies which specialize in this because it's a very specialized job, right? Now if I am, hypothetically speaking, a guy who specializes in outserts and I have 3 offset machines, about 8 folding machines, and my business is growing year on year, okay? I am servicing primarily all pharma companies. Pharma business, as we all know, is governed by FDA, correct? Now, my business is growing. I have never bothered to study the pharma vertical, bothered about FDA. मेरे को क्या लेना देना? मैं printer हूँ. मेरे को order आता है, मैं outside print करके पहुँचा दूँगा. I am not aware of anything. And I say my business is growing. I'm not able to service the new business, so I'm going to invest in 1 more offset machine and 2 more folding machines. The investment we are talking about is what? 4-5 crores minimum. Yeah? So I do that. 6 months down the line, the FDA comes and says, within the next 1 year, outserts are no longer relevant. There will be a barcode on the package which can be scanned by a smartphone. The smartphone will scan it and the whole outsert appears on the phone, all the information that you require. Bam! My investment of 5 crores is down the line because I cannot make my recovery. That business is gone. So what was my investment strategy? It was without any study. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, the customer that you study is the customer that you service, you need to study that segment. You need to be a part of that industry. You need to know about that industry as much as you know about your printing business. This is very, very critical for you to make any kind of strategy. Once you've done that, so what we've done is we've studied historical data. We know who are the top line contributors. We know who are the bottom line contributors. We know that this is the business. These are the segments that work for the organization. We already have all the equipment, etc., necessary to service those type of clients because we are already servicing them. And now we have done an R&D on those verticals and we know that those verticals are continuing to grow at double-digit figures. That means it is safe for me as a print company owner to continue to invest there. From here in comes your investment strategy. Are you following me so far? Everybody, please? Yes. Great. So this is where you will decide your investment strategy. There is no point getting into a business if that business itself is not going to remain. There is no point making an investment if that business is going to become irrelevant over a period of time because of the changes that are taking place in the business environment. Technology is disrupting everything that we are doing. At the same time, it's creating opportunities for us. To give you one more example, my own company has about 9 to 10 insurance clients. Okay? Now, one of the things the insurance companies like you to do is send out premium notifications. You must be receiving inland letters saying that you need to pay your premium such and such date. If you are a quarterly premium payer, you will receive 4 such letters in a year. If you pay half yearly, you will receive 2, so on and so forth. Now, just like the pharma business, the insurance business is also governed by a regulatory body in India. It's called the IRDA. Now, if the IRDA decides tomorrow that it's going to do away with the physical notification mailers that are going to the customer and instead opt for the e-route, if I have done my R&D, I'm not investing any new machines. I'm not doing anything. I have an existing line. But if I am doing this, I will realize that I'm going to lose this business maybe. So what do I do? Okay, the information is still going to the client, right? But it's going to go in a different form. Instead of a physical mailer, it's going to go in the e-form. So within my organization, can I develop skills which will allow me to still continue sending those mailers, but instead of the physical form, I will send it in the e-form. Because I have studied this segment, because I am tracking this segment, because I study what the IRDA is doing, I am able to take an informed decision. I start developing the skills within my organization early on. Okay? I start developing those skills. I am ready. When IRDA comes and announces this premium notification, inline letters need not go, I am ready with my solution. I go to my customer and say, okay, now instead of physical, I will send you for email. I may not do the printing, but I have not lost the revenue. That's important. So what you've done is you've taken an adversity and turned it into an opportunity. This is what will come out when you are studying your R&D. Ladies and gentlemen, from this will emanate all your strategies. You cannot make an investment in a 10 crore or 11 crore offset machine because it is the latest technology. You cannot make an investment of that nature because somebody else who is a competitor has bought that machine. You make an investment of that kind because it makes business sense to you. Clear? So this is how you design the investment strategy for your organization. Once you have designed your investment strategy, you come to the next important part, because for us printers, two things which matter a lot is A, the equipment that we have to service our clients, and the second is, do we have space? I may make a grand plan that my company is going to grow at such and such pace, but if I don't have space to bring in new machine, what will happen? So I need to plan my infrastructure. So when I'm planning my infrastructure, do I plan my infrastructure for my immediate growth, or do I take my next 7 or 8 years into consideration? Because this again becomes a financial exercise. A printing company cannot afford to move every 3 years like you move offices. It disrupts your client, makes you lose business, and you incur heavy cost. Okay? So you need to take a decision that maybe I need just now additional 25,000 square feet, but I will take 40,000 square feet because I am very sure that I will be able to meet this meet my growth plans. And that is the reason that I will do this, but it is based on studying whether taking extra space and leaving it unutilized is more cost effective or moving every 3 years is. So it's again a financial decision. So this is how you make your infrastructure. So everything is linked from one to the other. The segments that you service, from there will come your investment strategy, from there will come your infrastructure strategy. Based on the kind of infrastructure and the clients that you have is the kind of people that you deploy. It's very important to have the right people to ensure that your organization is on the right growth track. It's not so much about going and hiring somebody because he was working for this big printer, but you hire somebody because you think that person fits into the goals that you have set for your organization. So your human resource strategy comes out from all of this. Human resource is not just about how much X is paying, Y is paying. First and foremost is whether that person's skill sets fit the organization that he is going to join. This is a very critical part of it. Last but not the least is your pricing strategy. Again, linked to your organization goals, whether you are going for top line growth, whether you're going for bottom line growth, or whether you are doing something which is a mix of both. When you are going for top line growth, obviously your pricing is going to be aggressive because you want to knock down any opposition on pricing, and unfortunately the industry that we are in is a very price sensitive industry. People talk about only pricing. So it's very important for you to set those parameters based on which you decide what is the goal for your organization. The subject that is strategy is a very lengthy one. a 2-day print summit might not be enough for it. The objective of this chat was that within 30 minutes, I give you insights into how you can formulate strategies for your own organization. I hope I have been able to do this, okay? And if there are any questions, I'm available afterwards, or you could email me at any point of time or pick up a phone and talk to me. I'd be most happy to answer any question that you might have. Thank you very much. I have 1 minute to spare.
Thank you, Mehul.
Thank you.
So I think the next year we should have 60 mad minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed Mehul's presentation. Thank you so much, Mehul. Can you